between Shamika and Devanshi to also compute the loss to Indian industry vis-a-vis investment when internationally indices are used to embarrass India, knowing well that they do not capture the entire data. I saw the professor talk about the Global Gender Gap Index. Who feeds it? International agencies that are currently functional in India, who know the reality on the ground, and yet either will depend on old data or no data or feign absolute ignorance. Point in case, hunger index. A Gallup poll calling up 5 people and ask, "Bhook lagi hai?" Which is true. May make for controversial headlines, but it is true. A poll that doesn't take into consideration that 800 million people have received for the past 2.5 years free food at their doorstep, 100 million beneficiaries, 25 million women, 75 million children below the age of 6 do receive supplementary nutrition. And when these numbers come, not one of these international agencies express anguish at the gap in understanding the Indian reality. For too long, these realities were dressed up and presented so that we could have been made to feel that either we are in need of rescue or we are in need of ideation. And that is why today the rise of our country is not financial alone. It's also intellectual, where we can evidence everything that we say. That yes, anyone may sit in our judgment, but when you do it with a false premise, we will counter you number by number. Then I speak about the Global Gender Gap Index report. I've had the privilege of being the young global leader anointed by the World Economic Forum since the year 2015. I have this portfolio as Minister of Women and Child Development since 19. And every year they would come up with the index. I would wonder, how do they compute it? And in my investigation, I found they disregard the 1.5 million women who are elected to office in our panchayats. Now imagine if they started counting and not one individual international agency was up in arms against it. They sit, break bread with us, smile, pontificate. And I heard when Mr. Pathak spoke about Punya ka kaam, a lady cringed. She did. So they will pontificate, break bread with us, but never protest when somebody deliberately kept the numbers out. And my angst is today that it's been 2 years since I have said, compute at least women who are elected to office in panchayats. It's a smaller constituency, tougher because it's culturally steeped in many challenges, in many diverse histories. Compute those women. It's as though they don't matter for the one clinking their wine glasses in the Lutein segment of the development sector. The second part, and Ms. Suri now knows that I'm about to unleash other stuff. The second part, we know that 9 crore women manage $37 billion every year through their self-help groups. When Prime Minister Modi speaks about 1 crore women becoming Lakhpati Didis, what does that denote? That they have taken credit from banks, serviced them. The NPA and the academicians know better, is less than 3%. So they have shown fiscal discipline. They have kept a rural economy going to the tune of $37 billion every year. And these are the women who are not counted in the Global Gender Gap Index report. So today is a day I celebrate because you are making every woman count. Every aspect of governance count. It is the first step. But the time has come to now leap beyond this. So how do you leap? We know that there is a challenge of computation, recognizing data, bringing it together, and then reporting it. So you spoke about plan A, plan B, and a plan C. But honestly, in my 2.5 decades of working in the field of gender, how many genuinely know what is plan A, plan B, plan C? I'm sure some in the audience have heard it for the first time. So, how many people who are a part of our civil society even know? How many bureaucrats who are at the lowest of the administrative hierarchy even know? Do they then not report because they have no information as to which basket of data to put it in? So, my proposal to FICCI is this, that we in the ministry will support training of officers to understand how to compute, how to report data in the gender cells. We begin with the Ministry of WCD and we will take the benefits of it to every ministry in the government of India. Gender budgeting has now thrown up a number of 239%. I'm not the mathematician, but that's what I believe. Gender budget in the past decade has gone up by 239%. The intent of the Modi government is more than obvious. Help us implement it better, is what I say today. But why keep that benefit only for our country? We know that the Global Gender Gap Index report is also an instrument which strategically is positioned to embarrass the global south. We recently at the World Economic Forum announced a global alliance for gender equity and equality. If FICCI allows, we can create a partnership where you take these instruments. That's fine, that's a man yawning, couldn't expect better. We can take these instruments of training, we can take these instruments of creating computation frameworks, first apply it domestically, and then offer it to our friends in the G20 universe. Because under India's presidency, for the first time, we now have a working group for girls and women. How do we as Indians serve and service that working group? I think this initiative can help that. And for the gentleman who was yawning, I hope that you can read the McKinsey report, which says that if you genuinely bring about equity and equality from a gender perspective in the economy, you see a benefit of $750 billion to the Indian economy. If that doesn't wake you up, to the gentleman who was yawning, if that number of $750 billion doesn't wake you up, you're better off snoozing. Thank you so much and congratulations.